Imagine standing in a room where everyone doubts themselves, where every hesitation is amplified, and yet you walk in with the certainty of a conqueror. Today, I will reveal the brain hack that annihilates your weak identity, replaces it with unshakable confidence, and transforms you into a figure that others instinctively follow and fear. If you dare to apply this, you will no longer stumble through life. You will dominate it. In this world, power is never granted, it is seized. Yet most men wander through life as shadows of themselves, trapped in the frail construct of a weak identity. They obey fear, beg for validation, and surrender their will to circumstance. Today we unravel the secret of obliterating weakness at its very source and reconstructing a mind so bold, so unyielding, that fear itself bends to your command. The first truth that must be understood, the truth that the timid and the weak refuse to face, is that a fragile identity is the most insidious form of imprisonment. It is a prison that cannot be seen, yet it binds more tightly than iron chains ever could. Look around you and observe the multitudes who shuffle through life, hesitant and uncertain, constantly seeking the approval of others, never daring to assert their own will. They are not enslaved by kings or armies, but by their own minds, trapped within the narrow confines of fear, doubt, and self-deception. They have built a life around avoiding confrontation, avoiding risk, avoiding the harsh glare of reality, yet in their avoidance, they have condemned themselves to mediocrity. Weak identity is not merely a flaw, it is a disease. It corrodes the spirit quietly, invisibly, and yet with devastating effectiveness. The man who doubts his own worth will never act decisively. The man who hesitates at the moment of choice will forever be at the mercy of circumstance. He will follow rather than lead, obey rather than command, plead rather than seize. He is governed by external forces, by opinion, by chance, by the petty ambitions of others, because he lacks the internal fortitude to govern himself. And make no mistake, the world rewards those who act with conviction, not those who cower behind excuses. The weak will always envy the strong, will always resent the bold, yet they rarely understand why they are unable to replicate what they see in others. The reason is simple. Strength begins within, and the weak have surrendered their inner citadel to fear and indecision. To recognize one's weak identity is the first act of courage, a recognition that few possess. Many live in illusions, constructing facades of confidence, performing bravado to mask insecurity, convincing themselves that they are more capable than they truly are. They invest in appearances, in titles, in possessions, as though these could substitute for the solidity of inner strength. But such pretenses are brittle. They crumble under pressure, exposure, or failure. And when they crumble, the man reveals himself as he truly is, uncertain, fearful, dependent on the will of others, a creature of circumstance rather than a master of it. The prison of weak identity is fortified by habits of avoidance and self-deception. The weak man avoids conflict, avoiding any situation where his shortcomings might be revealed. He avoids responsibility, fearful of failure or criticism. He avoids decision, terrified of choosing wrongly and thus revealing his ineptitude. Each act of avoidance strengthens the bars of the cage around him, reinforcing the belief that he is incapable of facing the challenges that life demands. The longer he lives in this state, the more deeply embedded his weakness becomes. Over time, what begins as hesitation evolves into habit, and habit evolves into character. The weak identity becomes so normalized that it feels as natural as breathing, yet it is nothing more than a slow suicide of the soul. Yet there is a harsh beauty in this recognition. To confront the truth of one's weakness is to see the chains clearly. And once the chains are seen, one can begin the work of breaking them. It begins with ruthless self-honesty. The man must catalogue the fears, doubts, and insecurities that hold him captive. He must identify the precise moments in which he succumbs to hesitation, to the opinions of others, to cowardice masquerading as prudence. This is not a gentle process, nor is it a flattering one. It requires the courage to stand before the mirror of reality and see oneself exactly as one is, not as one wishes to be. Weak men avoid this mirror. They surround themselves with distractions, with excuses, with flattery, all to avoid the discomfort of truth. But truth is the key. Without it, no transformation is possible. In this confrontation with reality, one must also recognize the role of fear in shaping weak identity. Fear is the silent architect of indecision. Fear tells the timid man that he is unworthy, that he will fail, that the world is too cruel for him to endure. Fear whispers in every hesitation, every pause, every moment of doubt. It tells him to follow the path of least resistance, to avoid confrontation, to remain small. Fear is cunning. It does not appear as a monstrous enemy, but as subtle counsel, as advice disguised as prudence, as whispers of caution that slowly erode ambition. And when the weak man obeys these whispers, he strengthens the very prison that holds him captive. Yet recognize also that weak identity is contagious. It spreads silently through social interactions, shaping relationships, careers, and opportunities. The man who fears his own shadow will align himself with others who share his caution, creating an ecosystem of weakness that reinforces itself. In such an environment, boldness becomes suspicious, confidence becomes arrogance, and ambition is punished. Only those who dare to break free, who embrace discomfort, and who assert their inner authority can escape this cycle. One must understand that strength attracts strength, while weakness invites exploitation. The world is merciless in its judgment. It does not honor good intentions or polite hesitation. It rewards action, decisiveness, and mastery over one's own mind. Therefore, the weak identity is a prison not because others place you there, but because you allow yourself to be confined. The bars are forged by doubt, the locks secured by fear, the walls reinforced by avoidance and deception. And yet, the first step to liberation lies entirely within. To break free, one must first see the cage for what it truly is, recognize the illusions that have held one captive, and resolve with unyielding determination to step beyond the familiar chains. The world beyond is not safe. It is not comfortable. It will challenge, humiliate, and punish. But within that chaos lies the only path to true power. For only the man who has faced his own weakness, confronted the chains of his fragile identity, and refused to submit can ever command fearlessly and act decisively. Fear is the instrument of the weak and the crucible of the powerful. It is a force that men spend their lives fleeing, yet it is precisely in fear that one finds the raw material for mastery. Most men view fear as a signal to retreat, a warning that the world is too harsh, too dangerous, too unforgiving. They shrink before it, hesitate, and in that hesitation they surrender their potential. They are content to live in comfort, or at least in the illusion of comfort, believing that safety is the highest goal. But the history of power, the history of greatness, teaches a far crueler truth. Fear is not the enemy of advancement, it is the catalyst. To harness fear is to transform it into strength. This requires a subtle and ruthless psychology, the understanding that fear is not a weakness, but a tool, a weapon to be wielded with precision. The timid man recoils from what frightens him. He hides from uncertainty, from challenge, from confrontation, believing that avoidance is protection. Yet avoidance is the architect of weakness, a silent teacher that instructs the mind to tremble at the first sign of adversity. The man who masters fear does the opposite. He seeks it out, he studies it, he enters its domain willingly. He understands that only by standing face to face with what terrifies him can he strip it of its power. Fear is a mirror, reflecting the areas of our identity that are fragile, untested, unrefined. When confronted, fear exposes doubt, insecurity, and hesitation. The weak interpret this mirror as judgment, as condemnation. They look at their reflection and see inadequacy, and they turn away. The bold, however, look at the same reflection and see opportunity. They see the raw materials of transformation. Each moment of fear becomes a lesson in self-mastery, a challenge to assert the authority of mind over instinct, of will over emotion. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the deliberate choice to act despite it, to confront it, to absorb it into the very fabric of one's being. The process begins with observation. One must first recognize the precise fears that dominate their thoughts and actions. Is it the fear of rejection, of failure, of humiliation, of loss? Is it the fear of taking risks, of challenging authority, of asserting oneself? Identify it, name it, and confront it in its most specific form. Fear is a shapeshifter, capable of masking itself as prudence, as caution, as common sense. The man who fails to distinguish between real danger and manufactured terror will remain perpetually imprisoned by his own mind. Observation is the lens through which fear can be dissected and understood. Once recognized, fear must be experienced deliberately. This is the practice of audacity, the method of deliberate exposure. The man who refuses discomfort cannot cultivate resilience. The man who avoids tension cannot forge the steel of confidence. Engage with fear in controlled ways, in situations where the stakes are manageable yet the lessons are real. Speak when you would prefer silence. Assert yourself when deference feels safe. Challenge opinions when agreement would be easier. Each act of confrontation erodes the illusion of fear, proving to the mind that it can withstand, adapt, and ultimately triumph. In this repetition, the mind learns to associate fear not with paralysis, but with power. Fear also reveals the contours of opportunity. The weak see obstacles where the bold see openings. The man who embraces fear understands that most who avoid it will never compete, never excel, never rise. Where others retreat, he advances. Where others hesitate, he strikes. Fear becomes a compass pointing toward the areas where others are unwilling to tread. To dominate life, to act with fearless authority, one must first learn to interpret fear not as a warning, but as an indicator of potential. The more intense the fear, the greater the opportunity for transformation, for dominance, for the consolidation of personal power. The psychological transformation that arises from mastering fear is profound. Confidence does not emerge from comfort, from affirmation, from the approval of others. It emerges from the repeated confrontation with what threatens the self. From the conscious decision to assert one's will in the face of uncertainty, from the cultivation of a mind that no longer bends beneath imagined threats. The fearless man does not ignore danger, he acknowledges it, analyzes it, and then proceeds with deliberate intent. His actions are not dictated by instinct or whim, they are informed by understanding, refined by experience, and strengthened by the repeated conquest of fear. To wield fear as a tool is also to understand its relational power. Men are influenced by the presence of courage and the absence of hesitation. When a man confronts his own fear openly, he radiates authority. Those around him, attuned to subtle cues of strength and weakness, instinctively recognize that he has mastered an elemental force that many cannot even name. Fear becomes not only a means of internal transformation, but also a mechanism of influence, shaping the perception of others, commanding respect and imposing order. The man who wields fear within himself wields power without. because he moves through the world unshaken by the uncertainties that unnerve ordinary men. The most formidable battles a man will ever face are not waged with armies or wealth, but within the silent chambers of his own mind. The weak identity is not simply born, it is cultivated, built brick by brick through years of unexamined thoughts, unquestioned beliefs and habitual patterns. If weakness is learned, then strength can be learned as well. To kill your fragile self and become fearlessly confident, you must embark on the deliberate act of rewriting your mental code, reshaping the architecture of thought that governs your life. This is no gentle process, no casual endeavor. It is a form of internal conquest, a ruthless campaign against every habit, every idea, every impulse that has held you captive. Your identity, as you currently understand it, is nothing more than a program you inherited from circumstance, society, and fear. It is a collection of responses, conditioned reactions, and self-limiting narratives that convince you that you are small, that you are dependent, that you are unworthy. Most men accept these scripts as truth, never questioning the authorship of their own minds. But the truth is that your mental code is not destiny, it is clay, waiting for the hand of the sculptor who is willing to command it. The man who rewrites his code does not merely react to life, he designs his responses, chooses his perspective, and governs his inner world with deliberate intent. The first step in this transformation is ruthless self-honesty. To rewrite your mental code, you must confront the thoughts that have dictated your weakness. Which beliefs have told you that you are incapable? Which narratives have justified hesitation and passivity? Which mental habits have reinforced fear and indecision? This is a process of excavation, of digging through the sediment of years, and it is uncomfortable because it exposes the raw, unadorned truth. Much of what you have believed about yourself is false. Weak men avoid this excavation. They continue to feed the illusion of their adequacy, wrapping themselves in excuses and justifications. The strong, however, confront every falsehood and begin the meticulous task of replacement. Replacement is the core of rewriting. Every self-limiting belief must be met with a countermanding truth. Where your mind whispers, "I am not enough," you must respond, "I am sovereign in my own right, capable of action and deserving of authority." Where hesitation has become habitual, it must be replaced with decisive thought and immediate action. Where doubt festers, it must be met with evidence, with discipline, and with repeated demonstration of capability. This is not a process of superficial affirmation, it is a methodical engineering of thought. Each day, each decision, each deliberate choice reshapes neural pathways, reinforcing strength in the architecture of your mind. Repetition is the hammer, action is the chisel, and persistence is the force that sculpts a new identity from the raw matter of your consciousness. Beyond belief, habits themselves are the programming language of the mind. The weak allow idle thoughts, indulgent distractions, and reactive impulses to dictate behavior. They act as if circumstance, rather than character, defines outcomes. The rewriting process requires mastery over habit. Every action must be scrutinized, every routine evaluated for its contribution to strength or weakness. Do you rise with intent, or do you drift with ease? Do you confront challenges, or do you avoid them under the guise of prudence? The architecture of your daily life, how you spend hours, how you respond to discomfort, how you discipline yourself, is a mirror of your internal code. To change the mind, you must change the routines, the repeated choices, and the behaviors that enforce your current limitations. Language itself shapes identity. The words you speak, the labels you apply to yourself, and the stories you tell internally are not neutral. A man who continually whispers, "I cannot," or "I am not ready," is programming himself for weakness. A man who declares, I act decisively, I command respect, I endure discomfort, is encoding a framework of strength. Language is both mirror and tool. By altering the vocabulary of thought, you alter the boundaries of your perceived reality. Speak as if you are already the person you intend to become, and your mind, conditioned to accept consistency, will align your behavior with this projection of authority and confidence. Visualization and deliberate mental rehearsal are equally essential. The weak allow life to happen to them, imagining outcomes passively, seeing themselves as victims of circumstance. The strong, however, simulate reality within the mind, practicing decisive action, rehearsing confrontation, envisioning success, and foreseeing resistance. Each mental rehearsal trains the neural pathways for actual execution. In this way, thought precedes action, and action becomes inevitable. Mental discipline is the rehearsal of sovereignty, the internal declaration that you are no longer bound by doubt or hesitation, that your identity is being intentionally crafted to dominate both internal fears and external challenges. Finally, understand that rewriting your mental code is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing campaign. The weak allow erosion, a single failure, a single setback, and they revert to previous patterns. The strong recognize that the mind is like a fortress, requiring constant vigilance, repair, and reinforcement. Every decision, every encounter, every internal dialogue is an opportunity to strengthen the new code, to overwrite old weaknesses, and to assert authority over oneself. The mind cannot be separated from identity. What is not consistently maintained will decay. Therefore, transformation demands persistence, rigor, and the deliberate cultivation of thought patterns, habits, and beliefs that are consistent with fearless confidence. Once the internal transformation has begun, once fear has been confronted and the mental code rewritten, the final and most decisive stage is to embody fearless authority. Confidence is not a sentiment, it is a presence. An energy that radiates through posture, speech, and action. It is the physical manifestation of an internal revolution, the visible signal that you have seized control over yourself and, by extension, the environment in which you operate. Weak men speak in hesitations, move in uncertainty, and demand validation. The fearless man moves with intent, commands attention without demand, and imposes his will quietly but unmistakably. To embody authority is to become an agent of influence, not merely a reactor to circumstance. Authority begins in the body as much as it does in the mind. Every movement, every gesture, every inflection of voice communicates the degree of control you possess. Slouched shoulders, downcast eyes, and timid speech reveal a mind still captive to doubt, even if internally you feel a spark of strength. Stand tall, move decisively, and speak with clarity. Let your presence occupy the space naturally, unself-consciously, as if you have always belonged at the center of attention. The world responds to signals, and the confident man understands that perception is a tool. Those who embody authority do not need to proclaim it. It is understood instinctively by all who encounter them. The body becomes a vessel for the mind, a projection of the internal mastery that has been painstakingly cultivated. Words are instruments of power, and the fearless understand how to wield them. The hesitant speak with qualifiers, with apologies, with uncertainty. The bold speak with precision, with assertion, and with intention. Each word carries weight, each phrase commands attention, because it is spoken by a man who has aligned thought with action. In conversation, the confident man does not seek approval, he communicates necessity. He does not argue from fear of disagreement, but from the authority of certainty. Speech is a weapon, and when paired with internal conviction, it becomes irresistible. People will follow, respect, or fear, not because of your position, but because of the presence of unshakable internal power expressed externally. Action is the ultimate test of embodied authority. Internal mastery without external execution is vanity. The fearless act decisively, without hesitation or overthinking. They understand that reality yields to those who move boldly. When others deliberate endlessly, paralyzed by doubt, the man who embodies authority seizes the moment, shaping outcomes rather than being shaped by them. Action must be deliberate, informed by strategy, and consistent with the identity that has been intentionally forged. The alignment of thought, word, and deed is what transforms confidence from abstract belief into undeniable influence. The world bends not to the timid, but to those who act with relentless purpose. Fearless authority also demands the cultivation of emotional independence. The weak are slaves to praise and criticism, their mood and confidence fluctuating with the opinions of others. The strong recognize that external approval is irrelevant to internal power. They act according to principle, strategy, and self-determined objectives, not in reaction to external pressures. By detaching from the need for validation, the fearless man strengthens his presence, becoming immovable even amidst chaos, unshakable even under scrutiny. Others sense this stability instinctively, and it compels respect, obedience, or even fear, not through coercion but through the magnetism of deliberate confidence. Presence is further reinforced through the cultivation of reputation and perception. Authority is not only what you feel internally, but also how it is perceived externally. A man who embodies fearless authority understands that perception can amplify power. He is deliberate in how he presents himself, in the consistency of his actions, in the manner with which he interacts with allies, adversaries, and observers alike. Reputation becomes a shadow that precedes him, signaling competence, decisiveness, and dominance. Even in silence, a man of authority communicates influence, and the world adjusts accordingly, recognizing that his presence is not to be ignored. Finally, embodying fearless authority requires a continuous alignment between internal transformation and external behavior. Internal mastery can falter if not expressed. External projection can become hollow without internal substance. The confident man therefore remains vigilant, consistently refining thought, reinforcing habits, and maintaining the mental code that has been rewritten. Authority is not a static achievement. It is an ongoing practice, a daily assertion of self-command, a perpetual refinement of presence, action, and influence. The man who embodies fearless authority does so not for recognition, not for approval, but because it is the natural expression of the power he has forged within himself, a power that now dominates both mind and world. The path to fearless confidence is not paved with comfort, nor with the illusions of safety and approval. It is forged in the crucible of self-awareness, where one must first confront the truth of weakness, acknowledge the chains of a fragile identity, and understand that fear is not a foe to flee from, but a tool to master. Weakness cannot be wished away. It must be confronted, dissected, and replaced with deliberate action and relentless mental discipline. Every thought, every habit, every choice has shaped the man you are today. To transform, you must rewrite this mental code with precision and ruthlessness, discarding the beliefs that weaken and adopting the principles that empower. You must program your mind to act decisively, to embrace discomfort, and to respond to life's challenges with unflinching intent. The internal revolution is not abstract. It is lived in every thought, in every moment, in every interaction with the world. Yet transformation alone is not enough. Internal mastery must be expressed outwardly. Fearless authority is the visible manifestation of the mind that has been reshaped, the posture, speech, and action that demand attention, respect, and obedience without question. Confidence is not proclaimed, it is embodied. The world responds to those who move decisively, who speak with precision, who act with inevitability. The man who has conquered fear and rewritten his code becomes a force that others cannot ignore, a presence that shapes circumstances rather than being shaped by them. Remember this: the weak surrender to circumstance, but the strategically wise seize control of both mind and world. Fear, doubt, hesitation, and indecision are not the rulers of the strong, they are the raw materials of power, waiting to be forged into unshakable confidence. The choice is yours. You can remain as you are, a prisoner of your fragile identity, or you can take the first deliberate step toward mastery, transforming fear into strength, doubt into clarity, and hesitation into decisive action. The world favors those who act with unrelenting purpose, and now the power to reshape yourself lies in your hands.